Have a good afternoon and welcome to Joy Newsroom with me, Faustina Safo. Coming up this afternoon, we'll take you to all the parts of the country. First of all, we'll start with President Akufo-Addo, who's taking a swipe at former President John Dramani Mahama for questioning the integrity of the recently released West African Senior School Certificate Examination results.
It is a pity, though, that the sad nature of aspects of contemporary Ghanaian politics drove some otherwise allegedly responsible people, including a former president and perennial presidential candidate, to question the integrity of the results, happily, without any foundation.
We have details, plus hear from John Mahama, who is rejecting the proposal for a new date for the 2024 general elections.
We in the NDC do not find the proposal for a change in date for elections from December to November as feasible nor helpful, and will not be supporting same, as we do not believe that this is being proposed in good faith.
Also in this bulletin, over 10,000 victims of Akosombo Dam spillage in the North Thorn constituency still living in tents despite two alternative housing projects sponsored by MP for the area, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, to relocate at least 600 of them.
The tent, if you enter in the morning, you feel comfortable. And during the afternoon, there's so much heat, so you can't even stay in it. Yes, and even if it rained, last time it rained, the whole place was so disorganized.
We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. We're also on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms where Joy News on TV. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay for details. Your election headquarters. Now, President Akufo-Addo has described as unfortunate comments by former President John Dramani Mahama questioning the authenticity of the recently released West African Senior High School Certificate Examination results. Well, according to him, some invigilators relax on the job as teachers aid students in answering questions. This comes after the Education Minister, Dr. Yawose Educhum, announced that this year's result was the best since 2015. We'll listen to the president shortly, but first, let's bring back the sound of John Dramani Mahama.
One-year exams are in many places. One checking Kwadano, they let the children cheat freely. You go to places and the teachers are conniving with the children to cheat. The effect of this will be seen later, because you certify these children, you say he's of this standard, either basic BEC or SSC, and that child will use that certificate, go abroad to a school, and they'll find that in Ghana your qualification is not up to what you say it is. It is going to affect this nation. I think we're just doing it. Anytime the results come, you say, oh, the children have performed better than they ever performed before. You know, and we all know what is happening in the system.
But addressing the 187th Speech and Prize Giving Day at Wesley Girls High School in Cape Coast, President Akufo-Addo said the criticism lacks merit.
It is a pity, though, that the sad nature of aspects of contemporary Ghanaian politics drove some otherwise allegedly responsible people, including a former president and perennial presidential candidate, to question the integrity of the results, happily, without any foundation, and attribute these results to cheating. Students of Wesley Girls High School, Wegehe girls, do you cheat in examinations? I'm sure this loud no will send a strong message to those who express this unfortunate, misguided sentiment. Ladies and gentlemen, government intends to continue to deepen the education of our population so as to attain our industrialization objective. This means that there will be increasing emphasis on science and technology education and technical and vocational training. The Accra STEM Academy, a school dedicated principally to the teaching and learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM, is almost complete and will be commissioned this year. The development of 20 STEM centers and 10 model STEM senior high schools across the country are at various stages of completion. Some of these schools have been operationalized and have been fitted with state-of-the-art equipment and laboratories to facilitate teaching and learning in all areas of study, including artificial intelligence and robotics. We intend to put STEM education in its central relevant place in our educational structure, and I have no doubt that alumni of Wesley Girls will distinguish themselves in the fields of artificial intelligence and robotics. And in so doing, we will not neglect the critical contribution of the humanities in the growth of our society and civilization. Indeed, it is being increasingly accepted that the best balance is not just STEM education, but actually STEAM, i.e. STEM plus the arts.
Well, we're still on politics because John Dramani Mahama has opposed the proposal for the December 7 general election to be held on November 7, 2024. He explained that the proposed change of date is not feasible as the Electoral Commission has not exhibited its preparedness to organize the elections in November. The former president was addressing a minority caucus workshop at the Volta Syrian Hotel in Ho.
Sensing clear defeat, there's already indication that this government has begun scheming to undermine the credibility of the elections. We cannot fail to notice the sudden interest and the push by the Electoral Commission to shift the date of the elections from December 7th to November 7th, at a time when it has not demonstrated its readiness to conduct even the general election. The lack of preparedness was clearly manifest in the district assembly elections held in December last year. Elementary lapses and shocking logistical shortfalls painted a picture of a commission which is simply not able to undertake the elementary tasks of managing an election. One would have thought that the commission would spend its time to put its house in order and hold itself in full readiness for the assignment ahead, rather than proposing bizarre changes to the voting calendar. Over a month into the election year, something as basic as a calendar of activities for the year has not yet been prepared by the Electoral Commission. As pointed out by our representatives at the IPAC, to which we have recently returned, the EC must concern itself with getting the basics right and ensuring full readiness for the election before seeking to bite what it does not need to chew. We in the NDC do not find the proposal for a change in date for elections from December to November as feasible nor helpful, and will not be supporting same, as we do not believe that this is being proposed in good faith. I know that the minority leader has clearly articulated this position of non-support of the constitutional changes required to enable this to happen.
Well, Mr. Mahama has also been encouraging Ghanaian youth who have lost interest in the voting process totally to rescind their decision. According to him, election presents them the opportunity to drop governments that have failed in their mandate. Mr. Mahama, who was addressing students of selected tertiary institutions in the northern region, also invited supporters of the NPP to join their cause in the NDC to change government if they feel the current government has failed.
We have elections this year. I meet a lot of young people, and they tell me, we are not going to vote. Of course, I know a lot of them are disappointed because they voted for some people who deceived them and raised their expectations so high. And so because of that, they say we're not going to vote because we're tired of voting. We don't see any difference. And I want to say to those people that you must punish those who disappointed you. Those who raised your expectation and said that they were going to turn Ghana into a paradise within a certain specified time frame and have disappointed you. You must punish them so that tomorrow somebody won't come and do the same thing. And so let's take a democratic process, because that is the only way you can effect change. Things won't change as long as you remain passive. If people come and take you for granted, and because of that you say you won't vote, other people will vote. But then you will not have solved the problem that you wanted to resolve by not voting. And so please, I expect all young people in this country to vote, especially the disappointed NPP youth. Please vote your party out so that they'll go and do their homework again.
Let's go on Zoom now and speak to Dr. Joseph Obeng. He is the president of the Ghana Traders Union. Now, they are proposing that the next government, should they come into power, they should be given a social contract with presidential candidates, and this agreement will be anchored on the candidates' economic agendas and manifesto pledges. Well, let's find out how this works. Dr. Obeng, explain to us how this social contract will work.
Okay. Please, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. It's very important to know that during campaign times, politicians sell their manifestos, promises, and their intentions to the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana, therefore, look and weigh them and select the best of these manifestos, promises, or intentions. It is therefore very important for the politicians to know that whatever they had in their intention or promises or the manifestos is deemed a social contract with the people of Ghana. And for that matter, they should also know that they are having an agreement or contract with us. And so we are saying that this year's election, we are not going to take it as the business as usual, and that people are going to hold the next president of the Republic of Ghana accountable to his own words during the campaign times. That's why we are saying that we are going to make everything possible to make them give us the guarantees and the comfort, if even it should be through memorandum of understanding, then we will sign together. And I urge all groupings in this country, all stakeholders, that the politicians may approach to demand this MOU from them, so that at least they will know that the Ghanaian voter is wisening up this time. Because I've said that this year's election is going to be intellectual based, and we are going to do everything to make sure that the rightful person emerges as the winner, and then also make sure that whatever has been promised by same is delivered.
But is it the case that successive governments have failed in their mandates or policies with regards to the Ghana Union of Traders? Is that why you're coming up with this initiative? And have you started engaging some of these prospective candidates?
No, this has been the general impression for a long time, that when politicians are campaigning and then they have the opportunity, then they fail on their promises. I think this is not the first time people are thinking in these lines. And that's why we are saying that because of these doubts, that we should also make sure, because we know that all politicians, if they make up their mind to rule the nation and then contest. They have good intentions. But when they assume leadership, that's where they do not fulfill some of the promises that they make. And so because we cannot not all be politicians, and the fact that we are the normal citizens and the voters, we also deem it as we are doing the whole process together. And that if you give us this promise and then we also vote for you, it means that contract is sealed. So whatever was promised has have to be delivered. It's a contract, social contract. And people have to start demanding this in order not for anybody to take us for granted. This is all that I'm saying.
What are some of the clauses in this social contract which you'll be putting together? And what happens if this candidate fails to live up to the contract if they sign it?
No. And so this is not going to be something that is going to be compulsory. And it's going to be something that is going to be normal agreement that you are going to sign with us. And so the fact that you are having the willingness to do that also shows your credibility. So it's not something that is going to be imposed on any politician, but then this is our intention as the business community, that we need this social contract to be signed or have some kind of comfort and a guarantee. This is exactly what we are demanding, and that it will also be part of our credibility test. Definitely, those who are willing and very serious that I mean to do this and I want to sign even a contract with you, it will also add up to the person's credibility. So this is exactly what we intend doing. You know, when we went for the economic dialogue at the Movement for Change, I saw one important thing that I haven't even seen. The TUC have actually gone ahead to prepare their own manifesto to give it to the politicians who will come to them. I hardly see these things. It means that people are getting more serious about these things that we do every 4 years. So we are not taking it as business as usual, and that we all have to give them a pinch that whatever thing that you are telling us, we are going to hold it serious, and that you account for your words during your campaign time.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of the politician. You make me sign a social contract, I come into power, I probably don't meet up to your expectations. What happens next? Would you prosecute me? Would you take me to court?
No, the fact that you have to come back to the same people will mean that it will be your measure, what people will use to measure you and assess you. So this is not something that is going to be impository on anybody. We are not going to force anybody into this. It's a credibility test that we are putting in that aspect of the contract. So the person who is damn serious and who knows that definitely I'm going to deliver on my promises will definitely have to put this as a test. This has never happened before, but we believe that some people are very genuine in some of the things that they are, the manifestos and the promises and their intentions, and that if they are very sure of their intentions, they wouldn't have any iota of doubt to sign any contract if it is demanded from stakeholders. I don't think so.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph, for being here. He is president of GUTA. We head now to the Norton constituency, where about 10,000 victims of the spillage of Akosombo down in the constituency are still living in tents and other makeshift structures 5 months after the devastating flooding. This is according to Member of Parliament for the area, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who has facilitated the construction of 2 alternative housing schemes to house up to 600 people, but says a lot more help is required. Former President John Dramani Mahama, who is backing the parliamentary probe into the spillage, says government has been insensitive to the plight of the victims. There's more in this report by Kweku Asante.
It's been 5 months since the floodgates of the Akosombo Dam was opened, leaving in its wake devastation never seen in decades. So many people reduced to living in tents with their entire livelihoods wiped off. With the water now receded and the people trying to build back their lives, so much help is still needed. For now, the focus of MP for Northton, one of the worst affected constituencies, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa and his partners, is to relocate as many of the victims as possible and resettle them in decent accommodations. The MP has now opened the second alternative housing project to house at least 300 families.
We have been able to mobilize those resources and put together this second housing project, which we are calling the Northton MP and Partners Safe Alternative Housing Initiative. From tonight, 300 people who are living in refugee-like tents in Dagome, in Agbetiko, in Aveime, in Dofwadidoma, in Fojoku. From tonight, they can have access to decent, modern accommodation, dignity restored.
The MP says it is unacceptable that government is failing to live up to its responsibilities.
Waiting for the central government to commence the construction of resettlement homes. How long are people going to be living like refugees in their own country, in their own hometown? How long? How long are we going to be living in tents? Very soon, the rainy season will be upon us. Those tents cannot save us. So His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Vice President Alhaji Mahmudu Bawumia remember your oath of office.
Former President John Dramani Mahama, who is backing the parliamentary probe into the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, is also accusing government of turning a blind eye to the plight of the victims.
I urge the Speaker of Parliament, after he ruled that there should be a public inquiry, I urge him to go ahead and set up the committee, so that a bipartisan committee, so that it can hold a public inquiry. This inquiry must be televised so that the whole of Ghana can see it transparently, in order that we know exactly what happened, so that it will not be repeated again. Let me appeal to the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, and his Vice President, Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia, to be more responsive and sensitive to the plight of the victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage, and immediately get to work to commence resettling the victims. The insensitivity of government to the plight of these victims is unacceptable.
Chiefs in the area are helpless and furious.
The Volta Regional House of Chiefs is calling on government and VRA for a complete resettlement of the impacted communities that have suffered as a result of what VRA did to us.
More than 10,000 persons still have to be relocated to be moved away from shelters like these, which have been described as inhumane.
The main challenge we have now is accommodation. Like, we need proper structure. The tent, if you enter in the morning, you feel comfortable. But during the afternoon, there's so much heat, so you can't even stay in it. Yes, and if it rained, last time it rained, the whole place was so disorganized.
But at least while these people wait for their government to come to their aid after budgeting more than 200 million cedis, Samuel Okudzeto Blackwell and his partners are doing their bit to help ameliorate the suffering of the people and put them back to living decent lives. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Mepe, North Tong, Volta region.
We shift our attention now to the labor front because there is ambiguity surrounding the University Teachers Association of Ghana's potential industrial action against government. The union is at odds with government over what they describe as poor working conditions and has warned to lay down their tools if their demands are not met. To gauge support for the strike, a voting process has been conducted on campuses nationwide. Professor Mahmoud Akudugu is the national president of UTAG, and he joins us now via Zoom to give us details of this process. Now, we know voting is concluded. What's the decision of the union as we speak?
Good afternoon to you and to your viewers. Your voting has been concluded across of UTAC, and in fact that this voting is not to declare a strike by the members. Rather, the National Executive Council are mandated to declare a strike if need be. But before they could do that, they need members to either endorse or otherwise. And so the voting was to authorize the National Executive Council to take a decision as to whether a strike action should be called or not. And this voting was also done at the backdrop of the slow pace of negotiations on our conditions of service. And so I think when we triggered the process, there was some intervention from people in authority, and the process has now been expedited. And as a result, the National Executive Council of the University Teachers Association of Ghana have decided to defer the decision to declare a strike action.
Interesting. So far, government is now heeding to your demands. Is that the case?
Yeah, government is now, they have shown commitment and goodwill in the negotiation processes, and we've moved to reach some agreements. There are few outstanding items that we are working on, and we believe that with the good faith demonstrated by both parties, we should be able to reach amicable resolution sooner than later, so that we can take a firm decision that we are going to stay in the classrooms and ensure that academic work continues as usual.
But I want clarity. Are you suspending the strike action, or you're totally eliminating it from the equation because government is now somewhat coming to the table? Because this is not the first time you are threatening to lay down your tools.
Yes, as I said, members across the campuses, in fact, 82% of members across the campuses voted that we should embark on a strike action if the negotiation processes remain slow. And so, to the extent that we have not yet completely concluded the negotiations, NEC in its wisdom decided that we should defer that decision as to call a strike until we finally conclude the negotiations. We believe we'll be able to do that within the shortest possible time. Then a final decision can be made. So for now, the decision to embark on a strike action as endorsed by members is suspended until further notice.
When you say the nearest possible time, what timelines are you giving government? Because you're on the negotiation table. So what timelines have you agreed with government to enable them work on your demands?
We believe we should be able to conclude by end of the month. And that is the timelines we are working with. By the end of this month, we should be able to conclude everything, and then we can move on.
Thank you so much, Professor Mahmoud. He is president of UTAG, for joining us here on Joy Newsroom. We're taking a quick breather. We'll be back with more stories. Do stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us. Now, some youth in Asawasi constituency are advocating the completion of 3 AstroTurf projects initiated by the present government. Well, according to them, the government had assured the construction of these projects with the aim of nurturing local talents. Unfortunately, their aspirations have been crushed as construction has come to a halt, causing a once vibrant football culture to fade away. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more in the following report.
We have about 3 pitches in Aswansi, which have been abandoned, Highlanders, Abu School Park, and that one we are standing behind as I'm speaking now. Our wish and dream is to have these parks being built so that we can have more players in our community, because Aswansi have produced a lot of players. Some of the players that we have produced are like somebody like Dogomoro, we have Ishak Debra, Adma Jerry, and even as I'm speaking now, we have some of the young players like Franken Champon, a Black Star player.
The AstroTurf, the sword has been cut, so we know when the sword is cut from a government project, it needs to be completed. But per the documentation as we heard, that everything is complete, but looking at the surrounding, nothing shows. We know government control how it goes, we have phases of it. Okay, per the documentation they say it's complete, but we don't know.
The place has been like this and the youth don't have place to train, so they usually play the football. So as you can see, some of the nets have been all torn down due to, 1 or 2 things. So it's a big debt to the country again, which we have to renovate again.
Asawasi, a constituency rich in talent and dreams, but hidden beneath the shadows of neglect lies a symbol of broken promises and unfulfilled potential.
So we feel very discriminated in a situation whereby this is started before others, the likes of Dichamsu, Bantama and others. They've seen theirs way after this has been started, but still theirs has been completed and it's even been patronized. And we are the same said people that are using those facilities.
So we have our elders who went to the municipal to inquire. They came with the feedback that the pit has been done since it completed. That is what they told us. That is what our elders told us, that there's nothing to be done again because the pit has been done already. So we have made some feedbacks, we did some demonstrations, let me say 2-3 times, and yet still nothing seems to be happening. So we don't know what to do again. That's why we are pleading to the right authorities to take charge.
The AstroTurfs, which were expected to be the heartbeat of the community, now echo the silence of neglect.
How? First one, Yadika Islanders, and I join us. Sisi Kosha Islanders, Yabwa Abuboni na and I'll call one side, and I'm out for ball on one side. Sisi Idi Kura no honum. Ukwa Ubemu say Adena Basa. Adetina was a Basa because of Zongo, ye name in Penufo, I was Zongo no, or like Basu the Kishi Zongo, or Muni Akuma M Mazongo, or Muni Akuma Mazongo. Yasai Islanders, also the same thing. Adetina was a Basa. In Penufo, yes, Remo, we need him. Monsor engineer or no Mazongo, and Duru baby, and Maye. Na echina so no yanso ya bomudi na ya kase mo ya depa e ma always ma ase ye bie ya no a na ye didi mo atema na ase ye kan semfum e kire mo ya ase haye.
Started by the MPP government, the AstroTurfs were hailed as a game changer for the Aswasi's footballing community, but as the years passed, the promises faded and the fields fell into disrepair.
Since the beginning of this administration, the current MPP government, which I'm part, no any project that has been started concerning training facilities, they are able to finish it. Because even before the commencement of this project, we know definitely this is what is going to happen. Because when we go to our cream school, which is near to here, they have started one. The complaint is the same thing. The complaint is the same thing. No fan.
So we are pleading on the behalf of the authorities to help us construct this parks for us, so that we can get more and enough talent in our community. Because as I'm saying now, football helps our community a lot.
There is a growing discontent among the youth as they grapple with the consequences of the abandoned projects. As the people of Asawasi continue to wait for action, the fate of the abandoned astroturfs remains uncertain. Will they ever fulfill their promise of nurturing local talent and providing opportunities for the community, or will they remain as reminders of unfulfilled dreams? A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and Drought has revealed that 40% of the planet is degraded, impacting half of the global population. It emphasized the crucial role of land in regulating the planet's climate and highlights the high level of land degradation, posing risks to the ecosystem and people's lives. Well, these insights were shared during a local steering committee meeting on the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project in WAM. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Objective of the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project, GLSSRMP, which is a World Bank and Government of Ghana project, is to strengthen integrated natural resources management and increase benefits to communities in the targeted degraded savanna forest landscape. The over $100 million funded project will contribute to, among others, regularized small-scale and artisanal mining, popularly known as galamsey, while protecting livelihoods and creating jobs. The project is being implemented in 4 regions in the Savannah Gulf of the country, with 12 districts benefiting. A local steering committee meeting was held for participants that included district chief executives, coordinating directors, officials of the Mineral and Forestry Commissions, and the Environmental Protection Agency. The aim of the steering committee meeting is to brief participants on the project and highlight the activities being carried out. It will also provide the participants the opportunity to make the necessary inputs to ensuring that the project is implemented successfully. United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and Drought, UNCCD, National Focal Point, Asha Inkagwe opined that land is the foundation of humans and play a key role in regulating the planet's climate. Asha Inkagwe is therefore worried that up to 40% of the planet is degraded, thus affecting half of the world's population.
Since 2000, the number and duration of drought has increased by 29%, representing a severe risk to ecosystems and people's livelihoods. Mr. Chairman, whether we are talking about climate change, biodiversity loss, desertification, or food crisis, soil quality plays a central role for meeting these global challenges.
He laid bare some of the activities they have embarked on the project.
Currently, we're doing site identification, environmental and social assessments of proposed sites for the construction of 21 water points. That is water holes, dugouts, and weirs in Dija, Moli, Bele, and Western Wildlife Corridor. Other facilities include the construction of Dawadawa processing and training centers, game viewing platforms, and also we're going to construct quarters for Wildlife Division and Forestry Services Division at Tili in the Boku West District in the Upper East region.
Upper West Region Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, in a speech read on his behalf by Chief Director at the Upper West Region Coordinating Council, Peter M. Mala, lauded the organization of the local steering committee meeting, stating that it is crucial in the determination of the success of the project.
As we are all aware, the northern regions are predominantly rural and constantly confronted with rampant bushfires, population pressures, illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, unsustainable farming practices, and indiscriminate tree felling for charcoal production. All these unfriendly environmental activities contribute to land degradation and desertification.
Some of the participants shared their thoughts on the project.
So I want to appeal to the Forest Commission and Wildlife Division that let's walk our talk. We cannot come here and talk about how to prevent these things, and then we have seen them doing it and no action is taken. From that enclave, the hunting activity is so high, and the worst thing is that we are talking about how to control bushfires. These people burn and these animals come and they kill. So these are two crimes that they are causing.
First of all, I want to commend this project for the development so far. I really feel like a steering committee member because all the comments we've presented, meeting after meeting, are consciously being incorporated. So I want to commend you, Mr. Nkegbe, and your team.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
We shift our attention now to the health front. Mask up and stay hydrated. That's the caution from the Ghana Medical Association as they note an increase in the intensity of the Harmattan resulting in dusty weather conditions across the country. This warning comes as both the Environmental Protection Agency and the Meteorological Services confirm the rise in dust levels. General Secretary of the association, Richard Salome, says the heightened dust and dry weather condition could pose significant health risks.
Well, I do not have specific statistics offhand, but a lot of our colleagues have been reporting people coming to hospitals with difficulty in breathing. Some are complaining of sore throat. Some are complaining of, or to the extent of getting patients also reporting with exacerbation of their asthmas, as well as some allergic reactions, and then also people who have some eye irritations from the dust. So there are various reports. We are seeing kids also falling ill from these dust particles, cough, and other things. Of course, as I said, there are various, depending on where this dust, what we are calling dust is, there may be other elements within the dust particles which may exacerbate. In some instances as well, for example, many roads are untarred across the country where drivers are driving on these and then stirring up more dust. Some of these are in calamity-prone areas. Some of these are in areas where chemicals are being dumped indiscriminately. And some of these may settle on skin and then lead to some irritation as well.
At this critical moment, what the infection that they may likely contract due to the poor air quality?
Well, let me also add quickly that the weather is not just dust, but it's also quite dry. And so people are prone to dehydration as well. And so beyond that too is the reduced visibility across the country on roads. When you wake up, this fog mixed with the dust, and this is a serious concern because this tends to increase the risk for accidents across our roads and also bushfires. Now, what can we do as a public? Majority of the effect is on the airway, and that is why we advise the wearing of masks as much as possible, especially when we are outdoors. We also encourage that outdoor activities should be minimized to the barest minimum. You have funerals being organized on school parks which are not grassed, and even if it is grass, the grasses are dry, and this occasion stirs up a lot of dust. You also have kids who go to school and have to engage in physical activities outside. We encourage that those activities should be reduced to the minimum and replaced by other activities.
Government has been urged to prioritize domestic immunization financing and programs in order to decrease the number of zero-dose children and boost immunization coverage, reducing preventable deaths. Programs Director of Hope for Future Generations, a non-governmental organization, emphasized that such action is crucial for maintaining the progress achieved in vaccine preventable disease coverage since 1972. And Sabit has more in this report.
Even though Ghana's immunization coverage of 1-year-olds using the 3-dose of pentavalent as proxy exceeded international benchmarks to 99.4% in the year 2021, the government's inconsistency in honoring its annual obligation towards vaccine procurement is worrying, and this could erode the gains made. And as part of efforts aimed at increasing domestic resource mobilization for immunization by the government, Hope for Future Generation is holding a one-day sensitization meeting with some selected Queen mothers in the Bono Ahafo enclave to empower them on the need to undertake immunization, financing, advocacy, and community sensitization on new vaccines. Nancy Ansah is the Director of Programs at Hope for Future Generation.
It's very, very important that government increases domestic resource mobilization for immunization to ensure that we always have vaccines and all that we need for immunization. We are also talking about the timely payment of the co-financing obligations of government. So that is why we came here. We met our Queen mothers today and we have sensitized them. We all know that they have a big platform. They have a very strong voice. When they talk, their communities hear. When they talk, government also hears. And therefore, they will add their voice to this advocacy project.
Member of Parliament for Tichima North, Elizabeth Ovusu Ejari, under whose jurisdiction the capacity building workshop was held, lauded the move by the organization and admonished the Queen mothers to champion this cause across their respective traditional areas.
Today, I'm very excited that this project is going on in my constituency. So I think it's a very good thing. It is just trying to sensitize all of us to speak to government. Again, this workshop has been useful to the Queen mothers who came because of the communication skills and the advocacy skills that has been taught here. Because in their line of business, Queen mothers are supposed to communicate their policies and traditions and the things that they need to do to the people. Now they've been told how to communicate and communicate effectively. So I think it's a two-pronged approach and it's going to be very useful.
For the Queen mothers who were taken through this capacity building session, the move will go a long way to promote immunization advocacy as well as help promote the health of the populace. Anna Sabit, Joy News.
D&D fellow at CDD Ghana, Kwame Asiedu Sapon, has disagreed with Kofi Bento's assertion that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia deserves an opportunity to govern the country. Sapon argues on Newsfile that both Bawumia and John Mahama should be given a fair hearing as both had lapses in their administration.
I have no problem with him running with those successes, but the perception of the citizenry, has it changed as a result of what he's done? Is it not right for him to be telling us why, in spite of all these changes, corruption is perceived to have gotten worse? Is that not a justified position to hold? And is it not right for some of us to demand that he gives us an understanding of why corruption is perceived to be worse, even though he claims to have done all those things? The line of argument.
Okay. So as far as you are concerned, from where you sit in civil society and as an individual, unlike what Kofi Bento sees into the future as far as Bawumia is concerned, Ghanaians should rather give the opportunity to Mahama and not Bawumia. Is that the case?
At this point, I've been clear with anyone who is listening to me. I haven't taken a position. But my position is similar to Kofi in saying that if you tell me that Bawumia should be given, Vice President Bawumia should be given a fair hearing, then former President Mahama should be given a fair hearing too. Because both of them have skeletons in their cupboard. And the key thing for me, which made me choose Nanado over former President Mahama, was corruption perception. And he's made it worse. And he's now telling me that his vice president, who is his co-driver, should take over from him. And I hear my friend Kofi Bento then tell me, let's give the co-driver a fair hearing. And I'm saying, Kofi, we agree on most things. But on this occasion, I take a different view. Let's give them both a fair hearing.
All right.
And that's my position.
All right.
Well, that's it for Joy Newsroom. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Up next is The Law with Samson Ladiani.